He's well known to audiences here in Toronto because of his extraordinary, compelling exhibition in 2019 at the Power Plant, Ordinary Men, organised by Gaetan Werner. Shout out to Gaetan. Importantly, that exhibition included both indoor and outdoor presentations at the Harbourfront. Thomas's work has been shown at an array of international institutions, including the National Portrait Gallery London, the Victoria and Albert Museum London, the Yorkshire Sculpture Park, the Studio Museum in Haarlem, the Kunsthalle Krems in Austria, and the Kunsthalle Rotterdam. His work is represented in many public collections, including now the AGO, the Brooklyn Museum of Art, the National Gallery of Victoria in Melbourne, the Studio Museum in Haarlem, and the Legacy Museum in Montgomery, Alabama. 2025 has been a very busy year for Thomas. In March, he opened a multi-venue exhibition in Florence at the Piazza della Signoria, the Palazzo Vecchio, and the Museo Novecento. And in April, his work was shown in Times Square, New York City, in a presentation that included a monumental 12-foot sculpture grounded in the stars and a series of stop-motion animations displayed on billboards. And in September, he'll unveil a major commission at the Museum of Contemporary Art in Sydney, Australia. Dr. Julie Crooks, of course, needs no introduction, but I do want to remind this audience of her scholarly pedigree. Julie holds a PhD from the Department of History of Art and Archaeology at the School of Oriental and African Studies, known as SOAS, at the University of London. And her area of speciality is vernacular photography of West Africa and the diaspora, and many other things besides. In addition to her stellar work at the AGO, Julie has curated exhibitions for many organisations, including the ROMS of Africa Project, and another one of Toronto's finest land gallery. In conjunction with his Times Square project, Thomas has remarked, "The intention of my public works is to become part of the place they inhabit and its physical and material history, as well as the visitors that pass through and around the location, no matter how fleeting." This statement reverberates with us at the AGO. Our Henry Moore two large form sculpture in Grange Park and Brian Newman's Couch Monster just 30 feet away from Moments Contained operate precisely in this way. Not even an hour ago, at the unveiling outside, we heard a very special vocal performance by Toronto artist Shakura Seda, and along with a really beautiful gospel choir led by Chiara Pickard. You will have noticed that they wrapped up with I'm Every Woman by the inimitable Chaka Khan, one of the greatest disco tunes of all time. And this was released in 1978, before you were born, Thomas, 3 years before you were born. And you might also know the 1992 version by Whitney Houston in The Bodyguard, not half as good as the original. But I bring this up importantly.
Oh dear, oh dear. Oh no, Kyle's not having it.
So I bring this up in this context because the lyrics resonate so strongly, I think, with the work that Thomas does, and specifically with the work that we now have acquired for our public. And there's one couplet in particular which I think is so powerful. I know you'll be seeing this in the shout. "I can cast a spell with secrets you can't tell." Please join me in welcoming Thomas J. Price.
Thank you, Julian, and thank you all for attending tonight's talk, and of course the beautiful celebration outside of this incredible acquisition, Moments Contained. This moment is over 4 years in the making, from the time I approached you, Thomas, about acquiring this work for the collection, to our whirlwind efforts in terms of fundraising, and now the installation and unveiling for our public. It takes an incredible team of dedicated and passionate individuals to execute all of the behind-the-scenes labor to get to today's celebration, so I'd like to take a quick opportunity to express my deepest gratitude to the amazing and largely unflappable AGO team that manifested this dream into a reality. So thank you to Laura Comerford, Ian Hoadley, Anastasia Hare, Taryn Sarkozy, Jessica Bright, Andrea Orr, Andrea Jo Wilson, Nathan Huseman, Jill Offenbeck, Emily Cronin, Julian Kotz, Stefan Yost, and all of my incredible colleagues in the curatorial division. To Thomas's studio, I want to say thank you especially to Emily Kolipi, and to Thomas's gallery, Hauser and Worth, Neil Wenman, Kian Hughes, Christina Carey, who played invaluable roles in skillfully steering this acquisition. I'd also like to reiterate my deepest gratitude to all of our generous supporters who were committed to this project and immediately saw the importance of supporting a work whose lasting impact would be transformational, not only for the AGO, but also for the City of Toronto. And last but not least, to Thomas. My sincere and heartfelt thanks for your support from the moment I proposed the idea and all along the journey. We've plotted, schemed, commiserated, laughed, and had wonderful conversations along the way. Thank you for the trust you've placed in us as an institution and in the wider community. Most importantly, thank you for your dedication to a practice that is hyper-focused on dismantling harmful, preconceived, and often enduring notions of identity as it relates to people of African descent, and to dedicating a claiming of their or our own humanity and space in the world. So thank you. So talking about creating space and thinking about identity as a budding artist, because you were still in college when you began your practice with performance. I'm really fascinated. I think most people don't know that you started off as a kind of performance artist with this work called Licked, in which you licked an entire gallery wall, which was scraping off the top layer of your tongue, and the trace smears of blood remained on the wall. So I'm really curious, and I think I really wanted to start with this because I think it's a real, it sets up, I think, your entire practice, even though it is about performance, and you're not looking at performativity in your sculptures, but can you tell us what was at the heart of this performance, except YBA and, all of that?
Yeah, okay. So there's a lot of sound going. It's just me. So Licked was originally intended to actually be an invisible work. So I licked a gallery space, the four walls of the space. There was a plastic sheet so that people couldn't come into the room with me, but they could see me performing this action, which, as soon as I placed my tongue against the wall, I realised it was going to be a lot more difficult than I had thought of. And you don't realise how big a wall is until you're pressed up against it. And it was almost a relief when my stomach started to bleed, because I could actually see where I had been. So some sort of like Tartarus torture of trying to just cover this space with my saliva. And ultimately what it was supposed to be about was the surrounding people with the essence of somebody, in this case myself. So the pheromones, the chemical markers of a person. Because I was very much fascinated by the subconscious. How we on a subconscious level understand identity and presence and connect to another. And so I wondered what would happen if I were to lick this space and then somebody came in the room after me. Would they sense that I was there? And I think that comes back to this desire for connection. this desire to, through this process of exertion, almost like a sacrifice of time and effort and bodily fluid, to create a connect, a bridge, if you like, a subconscious, cerebral bridge to somebody else. Now, obviously, when I started to bleed, it became a very visible self-portrait, if you like, and was marked by time, and the power dynamic shifted. So, because instead of people going to that room going, what's this? And, I'm in the side giggling, going, it's my saliva. I was bleeding in front of people, and it changed the dynamic, and it changed the tone of that work completely. And I think it probably worked in its favour. And it created this very visible portrait. But it was always about trying to connect to people.
And that notion of connecting to people, then you begin to work in sculpture. But that was really, because this is dramatic and sensational, obviously. But then you make a kind of incremental move to creating sculptures, and specifically of Black men, with these facial elements of incredible subtlety and quiet. So direct contrast to your performance. So how did you start experimenting with figurative sculpture?
I realise we're on limited time, so I'm going to try and jump ahead a little bit, but there came a point where, because the performance piece, it was quite successful in terms of notoriety and the attention it got, and that could be quite seductive. And I had to have a moment with myself to think about where I wanted this work to go. Was I going to be the artist who had to up the ante every single performance and go down a particular path, or was I going to bring it back to the core of what I was trying to explore, which is how we sense and feel and experience one another? And that led me to thinking about expressions and the way that we pick up cues, the way that we pick up the subliminal moments of minutiae of movement and the expression. And so I started doing these stop-motion animations, which were shown in Times Square. And then that led me, so I was basically experimenting with ideas of physiognomy, the proportions of the face, and expressions of the face, and how that is often, in the pseudoscience of physiognomy, and how it was used to try and denote character, or to interpret character, and the qualities of a person, which then touched on my life experience of recognizing from an early age that people would place upon me certain expectations or readings and limitations, importantly, which I didn't want to have to live under. And so I think there was this quiet rebellion within the practice that I wasn't quite sure about, wasn't quite aware of, where I was, I guess, rebelling against what I felt were society's limitations for me, and I was trying to express and communicate the fullness of what it meant to connect to people through facial expressions, and particularly through these faces of Black men who were just there being, and not performing, and not smiling. Because I'm sure many people in this room know what it's like to be read as one thing because of the limited understandings of another person. And this idea of performative friendliness and this idea that you're safe with me. And again, I was very young when I was doing these works. And I was surrounded by people who didn't perhaps understand what I was trying to do, and perhaps didn't see the significance of what it meant to be just a face of a Black man being. And I would always get asked, when are you going to make sculptures of white people? And at that time, I didn't know what to say. This was early. I did Blix in 2001. God, 2001. And then the animations came in 2002 and continued. And every time I have a show, I get the same question. Have you thought about sculpting white people? And I find it fascinating because it shows the context within which we live. Not just, I make work, but within which we live. And I make my artwork because I'm trying to understand my life. And I'm trying to share that with people. And so the process of exploring people and making space for us to exist outside of performative confines is something I guess I've dedicated myself to, and I always say that my practice feels like an exercise in restraint, because there's a lot of temptation to do bigger and bolder, and with the animations, there were just eyes moving, and you'd be sort of like going to the rhythm of this person's life, and you'd hopefully be drawn into their inner worlds. And I think with Moments Contained, it's an expression of all those things manifest through this very, in my mind, this very calm character. But there's a tension there, and there's a containment within the pockets, and there's a tension of the fabric and the knuckles. But her face is serene and her stance is confident.
I may come back to the question about restraint and being confronted with those kinds of questions. I was thinking about this show in particular, because this was a show, your solo show at the Power Plant, 2019, Ordinary Men. And I know when I walked into this gallery with these very diminutive figures on pedestals, I felt a kind of aura, like almost I was being watched. So there is a kind of vibration almost that one gets when you're confronted with these figures, and it's something about the countenance, but then there's also a familiarity. An uncle, a brother, a son, a husband, a partner. I went through the gamut of, emotions, because I've never had this feeling. I've never had the opportunity to be kind of surrounded by this kind of work. So it is a question of scale, because this is 2011, Angel Town, and in the same show, the monumental works, there we go, outside in the kind of harborfront space. But the same feeling, the same kind of visceral feeling was still there. And that's really hard to do. So can you talk a little bit about the portraits, your psychological portraits as you call them, and how you are able to create, which is very difficult in bronze.
And it's very difficult to explain. So, I talk a lot about these ideas of psychological portrait, because the expectation, and I'll probably use that word a lot through this talk, the expectation is that these are all real people. And that goes into the understanding of portraiture, and almost portraiture as either a reward or something which is commissioned to express like an official account of an individual's excellence or achievement or worthiness, which ties into monuments. It's a similar kind of thing. It's an exercise in propagating and understanding a particular identity, a particular narrative, a version of lived events for an individual. And I wanted to critique that format, that structure of power. The way that if you too conform to this way of being, and you just work hard enough, and we're going to give you your own portrait, we're going to give you your own monument, and you can be valuable. And I felt that was a trap. I felt that was like this sort of, this gilded cage, or this thing where it's so tempting to want to be told that you're worthy, and be told that you're good by the people who pull the strings and have the money, give you access. But what if you're not able to be one of those few people who can navigate that path and that slippery pole to being above everybody else around you? And what happens if instead of furthering the sort of fictional narratives of individuals, what happens if we were to actually recognise the amazing brilliance that we share with one another? And this idea of just being human, and this idea of what about if we celebrated empathy? What about if we celebrated the ability to feel a connectedness to somebody else, to recognise the humanity in somebody else, and feel their value without diminishing our own? And so that took me down this path from the animations, through these experiments in physiognomy, to suddenly actually showing the sculptures as opposed to just the animations. Because before it was just about, these little sculptures I was making were experiments for the animations. So when I started to use the physical object, that got me into the territory of the monument and this idea of these things that were put around empires to, again, like, show who was in charge. And I was, I grew up in London, and I would visit the National Portrait Gallery and the V&A Museum, Victoria and Albert Museum, which were like this cathedrals to excellence, the cathedrals to cultural inclusion and aspiration. And I never saw anybody who looked or even felt like myself and people I knew intimately. And then this is as a child. And as I grew up, I realized that this was mirrored and amplified in the lived experience of the little cues, the little kind of like reactions to things that I always thought I could do. And they're like, oh, you're going to do that. Or, oh, you should be doing that because you look like this. And so it kind of started this parallel thing of being very interested in emotion and how we read emotion, but also understanding how that plays out as identity in society. And so I wanted to tackle this idea of the monument and the portrait combined. And I initially did that with scale, on a small scale. I made a fictional character, so I wasn't going to go down the path of this is the story of a real person, aren't they wonderful, and this is why they should be celebrated by you, the viewer. I said, this person doesn't even exist. This person is not going to be made out of marble, it's going to be made out of plaster. And so the first sculpture was called Mixed Feelings About Bus Drivers. And it was a small, I call it a bust, it was a small bust of man, because I was still trying to work with the formality of like how something formally articulated with a surface. And it was this little fictional guy on a scrap bit of wood, on a bit of MDF that I picked out of a bin from the Royal College of Art, and I stuck it on the wall low down with one screw. And so you have to like bend down to see what it was. It was one screw, so it's like, I'm not even going to put two screws into the wall. And everybody was really annoyed with me when I showed it. Because who is this? Why were we going to spend time looking at this person? And that, it's interesting because that, when we look at the larger scale, that's only been exaggerated and amplified in terms of people's reactions. Because they're like, well, now it's in the material that we associate with power. Now it's in bronze. Bronze has this understanding of permanence and an official account. And why is that fictional? Why is somebody who looks like me there and they haven't done anything? I'm like, so it touches on, again, our expectations and the things that we've been indoctrinated with on very subtle levels.
And that's why I wanted to show this slide, because I know exactly what you're speaking about created a kind of controversy with Network. The kind of ordinary act of looking at a cell phone, but who's the person looking at the cell phone, and why is he 9 feet tall or in height cast in bronze? Can you tell us a little bit about how that unfolded?
You're going to get me in trouble, aren't you? So Network, yeah, so it was 2012. And I had been approached for a commission of a small-scale piece, which I've got to be so careful. I was asked to create this work, which was going to be about youth and young people and technology and aspiration and visibility. And so rather foolishly, I think I modeled for that piece actually. And I created this 3-foot figure called network, because of this idea of the mobile phone and this connectedness. And the night before the small piece was supposed to go to the foundry, I received an email from the people who commissioned it to tell me that, dear Thomas, we appreciate the work you've put into this piece, but we can no longer accept it as it is. And I was very confused, because they had previously told me they really liked it. And it transpired I learned through a contact at the place, that the people in charge were worried that the media would claim that it was an image of a criminal, of a rioter, I think the word was. My puzzlement grew in that moment, because I didn't quite understand something. So in the UK, we had, in 2012, they had a series of, people called them riots, people called them uprisings, call them what you want, but it was civil unrest based around the government's failures in many, many areas of life, and austerity and stuff like that. And the media in the UK, and it was so obvious, every time there was an incident, they would focus on non-white people committing acts. And then when it came to the clean-up, they focused on white people going, we just want to get it back to how it was. And I'm like, I've read things in the newspapers and the wordings of things, and it's still happening today, probably even more. But you can see how like slanted and discriminatory it is. And so I really didn't. I was very, very angry and upset that an image of a young black man would be read in that way, and because I knew that if he wasn't a black man, it wouldn't be read like that. But you can't prove it. And so I made it 12 foot tall. I was very lucky that I had I had people that believed in what I was doing, and I had people who were willing to support what I was doing. And so I have a fantastic collector who said, if you make it, I'm 9 foot tall, but if you make that large version, I'll buy it, but you've got to find somewhere for it to go. And then at the time, it was Claire Lilly who was running the Yorkshire Sculpture Park, and I remember the meeting with her, and so I tried other places, and nobody wanted to take it. And then we went at the Yorkshire Sculpture Park, and she said, yeah, we'll take it. And it's still there today, actually, on extended loan. And they gave me a solo show as well at the same time, which happened in 2013. And that really changed things for me, because the work was seen in a different way. And I can't tell you the effort it had taken me to get to that point, to try to get people to see what I was trying to do, because people didn't want to look past what their limited understanding could tell them it was. They didn't see the humanity.
It seems as if that is continuing in
I think British.
I mean, I think the question is, how do you constantly, it's relentless, but it's the work.
Yeah, I guess it's my life. I am very good at separating these things out, and like I said earlier, I think I make this work because I'm trying to understand the world around me, and this was the way, even from a very young age, that I would be able to tackle things that I didn't understand, or the things that I felt I wasn't able to express in other ways, I wasn't even aware of, and I was just trying to feel out, because tactility runs through my work. And even now I work in digital, but the bronze and the resonance of the bronze is still really important to me, and the fact that it exists in space, and takes up space, conceptually that's important. But in terms of the feeling, it's important that it resonates.
Of course. In 2021, we installed within the Vault, where the present Brian Youngin couch monster is located. It got a lot of attention. Fortunately, it was a alone, had to go back to the collectors. But you did bring up something earlier about, I think I mentioned endurance, but you mentioned permanence. This did, of course, have to go back to its collector. But is permanence really an important part of an aspect of your work? Because the sculpture is going to change in its kind of the environmental conditions. Will change the patina, but also the world around the sculpture changes. And you created this sculpture at the height of Black Lives Matter or thereabouts. It was fascinating to watch young Black men engage with this work. The Nike running shoes, the hoodie, the stance, the gaze beyond. Can you talk about permanence?
I think there is an expectation for permanence, particularly when you're talking about, or considering the understanding of bronze. It's supposed to be a permanent marker of an individual who represents the power and authority within the society. It's a real person, right? So it's to be a real person, real history, and we should all learn in school or throughout in books about this person's great achievements. And we literally normally look up to them because they stand atop plinths. And so we're physically made to engage in this sort of process of honouring somebody, despite the reality of the stories. Now, I make no claim to permanence with my works, but I do touch on the association of bronze. So, conceptually speaking, I use bronze conceptually because it has power. And I'm giving that power to individuals who don't necessarily exist as individuals, as real people throughout history, but their emotional presence, I believe, is real, and more real than the fictional stories of the people and the gentlemen atop plinths. And so you communicate that to somebody when they look at that, because that's carried with the material. And I want to give these characters, as I call them, the detail, the attention, the reverence that would be given to like a religious sculpture. If you go to churches, you can often see, like, if you're lucky enough to like climb up and see, you see that they'll carve the inside of a hand, with all the detail, because they treasure that person who's represented. It's a mark of respect. It's a mark of the importance of that person. Well, this, within the folds, is an important, valuable person to me, and I wanted to work with the drapery, these things that attach to understanding of great sculpture through classics, or I guess Renaissance with this. It's this idea of the drapery and how you render it, and how that clothing that we would see, like the robes of religious men, or we'd see in museums, and we'd talk about their role in society and who they are, and we'd remark at the skill of the sculptor. And that would be connected to then the value of the person shown. And I was like, well, what happens if you just put somebody in their tracksuit, their sportswear, and let them stand, take up space, and not have to smile or take their hands. There's another piece called All Image. It's the same character standing in the same way, but he's got his hands in his pockets. And it's the idea of this hooded sweatshirt and the things that it's connected to, and the things that it seems to allow people in positions of authority to do to men who wear them, particularly Black men who wear them, is still to this day is disheartening. And so this is a refusal to accept the fact that I should then put on a suit so that I can be accepted and be safe. And it's 9 foot tall, and it's going to be there regardless of what other people think. And it's a chance for us to embrace that and to associate that with the things that we are always told are important and special.
So, Reaching Out was the first sculpture featuring a woman? First, yeah. And I think once again you approach this as with everything you do in your practice, in a very thoughtful, diligent, and measured way. Can you talk about the shift from the male figure and how ideas of race and gender now converge and really shift the conversation in a way? And you made a really interesting comment, because I was eavesdropping on that interview, about the mistrust of representation. And I'd love you to elaborate on that.
I don't remember what I was saying, no? When there is such a lack of representation in the way that I guess I would view it, I mean, obviously there's Harlem Renaissance and all sorts of things like that, but when there is just work which is made singing about ordinary people, and people can recognise themselves, there is an anxiety about representation, because each piece that then goes into the world is so rare that it carries with it all this pressure to apparently represent everybody at once. Well, that's an example of the state that we're in and the inequality that we are operating under, where a sculpture of a young black woman is apparently supposed to represent all black women. That was never the case. This is representing one manifestation of a human moment of somebody being just blissfully unaware of the world around them, and again being non-performative. You know, the work is called reaching out. She's on her phone. We don't know if she's reaching out, if someone's reached out to her, if we are supposed to reach out to the sculpture, if I am reaching out to the audience. It was fascinating to see the reactions to this piece. This was, God, I can't believe it, 2011? Oh goodness. 20, yeah. But when it went to London, it caused a bit of a furore because, for the reasons I just mentioned. And it's difficult because I'm trying to make work which is about, in my mind, about being human. And it always was about being human. The animations that I first made were about being human. When people said, you know, initially when I did, the first animation I did was about, it was a white man. Someone I'd seen. And it was somebody I'd seen who I observed. I used to be a waiter, and I observed this gallerist out on the floor of this gallery being incredibly confident and talking to everybody and dressed in this brilliant suit. And then I was preparing the drinks downstairs and he went down to the office. And I just saw him staring. Like the real him came out, or something real came out. There was no performance, and he was just with himself, and I was fascinated. And so I did an animation based on that. And everybody I showed that work to were like, oh, he's like my father. He's like a man, he had soul to them. And then I did another one based on somebody else that I'd observed with another white person. And then I did one based on a man I saw on the London Underground, who I think he was eating a piece of cake, but he was just blissfully again unaware, he was just in his own world, he felt like such a gentle soul to me, this guy. Something resonated from him, and I wanted to try and manifest that. So I made this animation based on a guy just blinking and looking into nothing beyond the viewer, because they're not trying to connect to us, they're not trying to like get our animation. And when I showed that work, oh, he's black. Why is he black? I didn't know what to say. Because it wasn't something I thought about. I was making a person, a human being. And I was like, oh, I'm such an idiot. There I was thinking that we were all together. And I didn't realize that they were seeing a layer between that and themselves. And so I made another one, because I was like, well, because what am I going to conform to this strange expectation of representation and what it means to be a human being? Who gets to be human? Who gets to have a soul? Who gets to have a full life? Who gets to express that life in whichever way they want? I think we all want that. Like I said, we all want to be recognized with the person we think we are. And I think we should all be able to expect to live out a fullness without limitation or ramification if it doesn't fit the ideal that is set by society. I forgot what the question was. So.
Checking time. Very quickly about process, because I think people are interested in how you are working with bronze. You use a range of traditional and digital technologies, gilding, ancient moss wax process, but you're very indebted to the tactile and touch. Is this moss with like digital clay? Can you explain that?
I thought it would be. I thought it would be. I've spoken a lot this week, so if I've spoken to you in the audience and I've talked about this idea of the digital clay and the cerebral haptic feedback, I apologise, but I'll say it again. When I was at Royal College, they had some experimental equipment, which was this stylus, which was connected to this multi-articulated arm, and it would feed back haptic impressions of what it thought material would feel like on the computer. It was awful. It was so unconvincing. It wasn't at all like moving your hand through clay or carving anything. It was rubbish. And this is it's not a joke, it's not a lie. 5 years later, somebody told me they found it in Skip. So it was that bad.
Yeah.
Software has moved on. Hardware is still pretty much as bad, but the software has moved on to the point where the simulation of additive and reductive carving and sculpting basically in this clay is so convincing that your brain starts to feel like you're actually working with clay. And so I would say 90% of the joy of using a material. But then there's so many processes after that digital side, after the digital model. You have to then put it into a wax or into a material, and then you work it the same way that ancient civilizations would work with lost wax and bronze. And so there's so many stages, but obviously when I start to work on a certain scale, I need to work with teams of people. So I'd love to say that that's me welding those hands, but it's not. But the sculpture is already in my mind, and in fact in the real world application, the sculpture is set by that digital model, because there's no interpretation by people trying to scale up, which was when I did Network, the 9-foot piece with the guy on the phone. I had to work with a team of people in scaffold, and we built wet clay 9-foot sculpture, and it was an experience.
And also on the theme of process, you were commissioned to create sculptures that commemorate and honor the Windrush generation. Thanks. Which was the first big wave of Caribbean migrants to the United Kingdom post World War II. Sorry. I'm really fascinated by the collaborative process in which you incorporated the people of Hackney, and this is how you're creating your composites. Can you talk about that quickly?
Yeah, I did say quickly. Yeah, so this understanding of public sculpture, monuments, and works like mushrooms popping up, and you're welcome. I wanted the Windrush generation in the UK has been, we call it the Windrush scandal because of the way they've been treated by the British government, still are treated by the British government, which is, I won't go into all that, but let's just say that I wanted to make sure that the people in Hackney who were connected to this history were part of the making of this work, and were the people who would be able to tell other people what the work was about, because they were part of it. And I didn't want to just be like, I'm the artist, so I'm going to make this work and you're going to be grateful. I wanted to get informed by them. I wanted to have the emotional content communicated to me by them and learn what's important to them. And also, so they were like the work already existed before I made it because people were waiting for it. And people knew that it was about their desires and their experiences. And so I took multiple scans of people after doing interviews and photographs, and they were telling me about their experiences and connections to the Windrush generation. And I had some really poignant stories which communicated to me and made me understand the importance of this work. But I wanted to make sure that my submission for this commission was about making sure that the people of now were visible. It wasn't about fulfilling some sort of historical version of what people in Windrush look like. It was about really giving an opportunity of visibility to people to be the very fabric of the area. They're connected to the ground that we walk on, so they're not raised above us. They're on the ground that we share with them. They're part of us. They are an amplification of us. And I think getting people involved in that and learning from them and trying to interpret their desires and their experiences made it a strong piece.
I was going to skip this question, but I'm not. Can you pinpoint the moment whilst you're working on a sculpture that you were satisfied with it? When is that moment? Is there a kind of animation in the eyes? What is the kind of visceral feeling that you get as you're working in and you kind of like, okay, this is it, I can walk away?
I'm gonna do that cliche thing where I go like, I'm never satisfied with the work. Because that's why you make the next piece. Because there's always something you want to do. I always say that my practice is about trying to, I ask myself questions, I try to answer the questions with the work, and then there's always more questions. But when it comes to the figurative works, there is a moment, and it's often in the corner of my eye, I think it breathes. And I'm in the room with somebody. And also, I like a certain level of ambiguity in my work, because it gives more opportunity for the viewer to create the content of that person. It's the same reason that if you see the eyes are always hollowed out, because I want the viewer to be the person that makes that last psychological statement of who and what is happening with that mentality, the inner world of that figure. And so when I feel I'm in the room with somebody, I have to let it go. And then you can always pick up with the next one. Otherwise, you never finish.
Technically, you never finish.
Yeah.
There's so many questions. So, grounded in the stars, Times Square. Very briefly, because I'm sure you've been talking about this and the ensuing online backlash ad nauseum, but yeah, I guess I want to talk to you about the vulnerability of the artists, because you weren't obviously, none of us were really expecting the kind of online discourse, to put it mildly. But you said that you love to show your work. That's the whole point. So explain a little bit. I know this was mostly on social media, as you've often explained, but what was that like, and how do you move past this?
I mean, I don't make work because I want people to like it. Luckily. I make work because, as I say, I'm asking questions, I'm trying to answer the questions, and I think it's my role, my duty, if you like, as an artist, is to be as honest with myself as possible, regardless of the outcome. And that is sometimes a heavy burden. This work was actually made several years earlier and shown in LA, and there was no discourse around it. It was shown indoors. And this is why I think location is incredibly important, and time, the way that things change around us, is incredibly important. And it tells us who we are as societies. So, it was an online thing. If you went to Times Square, had you gone to Times Square, you would have seen that there were queues of people waiting to have their photo taken with this piece. There were people who looked just like her. You could visibly happy to be there and be visible and be in this manifesting in this way. There were people who looked nothing like her, feeling an affinity to this character. There was a series of bots and MAGA right-wing people who try to cause discourse and sow the seeds of fear and pain in people by making incredibly hurtful comments. And that did trigger some real people. But people who hadn't seen the work. People who felt that the work shouldn't exist because it made them feel bad that other people were insulting that work and that work might look like that. I personally think that we should address the people who are making the racist, fat-phobic, body-shaming, deeply traumatized comments, instead of trying to minimize the visibility of somebody who looks happy in themselves, like a beautiful person, and is importantly taking up space without any apology in one of the most iconic places in the world. Now, if people want to criticize me for that and try to tell me that I'm working under a different agenda, that's up for debate. I can't say you have to like what I do and you have to think I'm a great guy because I'm doing this. No, it's never been the point. So you asked me what it was like. It was horrible. It's horrible because I've done this for many years, and some of the people who are trying to get it taken down, I'm making this work for longer than they've been alive. And I want people to take a moment with themselves to think about why they feel something. Feel it, be with it, and ask yourself why. Because that gives you something. You're taking control back. You're not living within the confines that people set for you by creating fear and pain around you. You're expanding and you're growing, and you can bring people with you. I'm not going to stop doing it. I mean, it's work that I believe in. It's work that I think deals with what it means to be human. It's work that I think gives us different versions of ourselves and allows us to connect to ourselves in certain ways. And I think it's important to be there. I think the discourse was important. I think the US needed to get a real understanding of itself and the psychological moment it's in right now. And somehow this work did that. And who knows a few years from now how people will think about this time. But for me, my takeaway is that the people who saw that work and experienced that work in real life, and also the multitude of people who have made comments on that work, positive comment on that work, found something important for themselves and found a way to take something from that and to convey positivity and a moment of celebration with them and communicate with other people. And for me, that's what it's about.
So we'll end on Moments Contained at the AGO. So what is your hope for the sculpture in our city?
I mean, I don't know. I think my hopes have already been surpassed. I mean, the celebration today, the welcome for this work has been absolutely mind-blowing. It's really, I'm sitting here, I'm drinking my ginger ale because I need to get my sugar next week. You're already doing it, honestly. The fact that she's being welcomed, people are expressing empathy and connectedness and continuing and expanding narratives of who she is and what she means, how they recognize themselves, how they recognize other people, how it's making people think about being seen. It doesn't matter what you look like, you can recognize the humanity in somebody, and that's an important thing, an important quality to amplify within communities, amplify within cities, amplify hopefully globally, because we're in a place right now where we need some good stories of hope, because there's a lot going on that really is worrying, and I think these moments that we can hold on to, that bring us closer together, and that make us recognize the importance of humanity, and make us recognize the importance of empathy and compassion, can only be a good thing.
Thank you.
because the elevators are down, we can exit on the stairs if you can. And we will, for people who need to take the elevators, it's the elevators in the back on.
Why are you so familiar?
I was about to say the same thing. How are you?
Good. Douglas.
Hi.
Douglas.
Maybe we met through Gaetan or Michael Prokopal?
Maybe. You're
Maybe.
very familiar. For some reason. Courtney,
How
my
are
friend
you?
Courtney.
How are you? Good. How are you? Good.
Good. Anyway,
Sounds good.
probably see each other. What's your name again?
Ty.
Douglas.
Douglas, good to
Courtney.
see you guys.
Yeah, good to see you.
You look great.
Hey, good to see you. And you. Oh, it's like a roll. Nice to see you all. Oh, look at this. It's perfect. Please. Is he gone? Okay. The women. 1, 2, 3, 4. Stunning. Stunning.
This is good, right?
But yeah, lovely seeing you again.
Sorry. Yeah. What do you think? I didn't recognize him.
That's why you were there. He was chill. Like,
Oh,
he
we
was
should
like,
be in this photo,
for the
too.
caliber of artist he is.
Right here.
He was like,
So I'm going to do a photo right here because it's perfect. Courtney, go on in.
And then Courtney, get in the picture. Send up, come. Courtney, you're supposed to be the picture. Get the picture. Get the picture.
All right. Sorry. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Lovely. Smile. Da, 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 da. Lovely. Do you mind a photo? The three of you? I love how you put on your darkers. All right, here we go. Ready? All right. I love how you never smile.
I don't. I'm like Thomas. You didn't hear what Thomas said?
Lovely, thank you. I got that. Madame, so lovely always to see you. Lovely.
This was lovely.
Yes.
Go back
Can I get this trio, please? It's beautiful. It's great. Wonderful. Thank you.
Yes.
thought I saw Maxine earlier.
Bailey?
Yeah.
I saw Ronald and then he disappeared.
Ronald, I saw earlier. Yeah. This guy almost looks at the mayor.
Who's the suit guy? The guy had one of the gray suits.
Chaka Khan.
Bye.
Chaka Khan.
Chaka Khan.
Oh, there he is.
Love you. Bye.
See you later.
Photo.
I love to take them, but you know. I'm challenged to see this.
Love it.
Thank you.
I kept saying it's so funny when I know people that I know are in the front row. I have to like make sure I don't. So Doug was in my periphery, so I kept like, okay, I'm not gonna look at Doug. I'm not gonna look at Doug. But I can hear you. But I love the responses. So I was feeding off of Doug and Courtney's response.
Courtney's laughter.
Yes.
I know. I saw when you reacted to his laughter
Yes,
at one point.
I did. Yeah, it's really important, you know,
Yeah.
when you do these kinds of
Nice energy.
Thank you.
Chaka Khan. Chaka Khan.
The way I feel like I'm right in. I just.
Yeah, so for example, sorry, I'm just gonna pass you there.
Hair lock, sorry, I had
This is great hair. Gorgeous hair.
Thank you very much.
That's my office. In fact, I was putting an album together, and I was at a former curling do with them. I'll sing it.
Let me get a photo. You too.
I'll take my back.
Thank you. Lovely. Thank you.
You're lovely. Now, where can we follow you?
I'm all over the place. She follows me. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook.
Do me a
I'm
favor, walk over there to
YouTube.
my honey and get
I talked to him earlier. He came and he said, "Hey, Eric, from your aunt's funeral."
So
Yeah.
are you got? Does he know your Instagram? Where to
No, I
find
don't
you?
think so. No. Okay. How you doing, man?
How you doing? All right. How's
Good.
everything?
Not bad. Not bad. She said I have to give you my Instagram so you can follow me. So she can follow me, so she can know.
Not give her.
That's her job. That's your job apparently. She said, go to my honey and make sure he gets your information. You can follow me on Cloglo, CLO.
CLO.
GLO. That's me at the top.
There?
No, the other one. The one after that, yeah.
Try it again.
So it's Cloglo. It's that guy, Douglas Stewart. Yeah,
All right.
that's me. Yeah.
All
So
right.
now you can share it with her. So when I post stuff, because she wants to see photos, I think that I've been taking and video and so on.
All right.
Take care.
All
The
right.
other thing is my YouTube channel might be good because I post a lot of stuff there. In fact, I posted the video I did at the funeral there.
Same handle?
No, it's this time it's VIS
Hang on.
B
B.
I no not B V as
V
in
as in
Victor.
Victor.
Yeah, I S space R. No, see, always does
I
the A.
hate that.
Yeah, R-I-A. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Got it.
And basically, you know, Clo-Glo is my two parents. My dad is Clovis, my mother's Gloria. Clo-Glo, first syllables, and then Vizia, the last syllables of both names. She wants to make sure that all this stuff she gets access to, she gets to see what's going on and where it is. It's so interesting to see how our worlds are connected. So I see you in one space and then I see you in another space and, you know, it's great.
It is. Obviously.
I'm going to keep wandering around a little
All
bit.
right.
I have to say how much I love this.
Oh, thank you so much.
I love that detail.
Thank you.
Yeah, stunning.
I gotta start. I love yours too. It's also, I love the silhouette.
Yeah, I was trying to do a little light summer thing because I had to sit in a stadium for the most of the day watching tennis.
You are watching tennis?
I was up at North, up at the, what is it called? The Open, the Bank Open, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And it's the
Nice.
and it's the men.
I'm following them.
I'm supposed to follow them too.
Okay,
Where is this, the dinner party or something?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm supposed to follow as well. Hi. You're trying to get them together to get out of here, right? It's like, people, clear up.
Gone again.
Got him.
Documents and everything.
This is really nice.
Thank you, brother. Your people.
Yeah, do you know what it's called?
What's it called again?
Batakari.
Batakari.
Yeah.
I've heard that before and I
Beautiful.
buy it, yeah. I have variations of them.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Have a good one.
you too. Mwah. Mwah. Bye.
Next to the
All right. Was that your twin brother?
Where?
No, earlier.
The tall one?
Yeah, I thought so because you're so. I saw it right away.
We looked for. Yeah. John, this is Tanzania, who's running, and John Wheaton is a great collector. He's here. Jamaican, Angolan.
Thank you so
All right, that's it. We cleared the space out. And Julie's one of the last to leave, just as the host.
Thank you.
So nice to see you guys.
Thank
So
you.
proud of you. Thank you.
Take care. Have a great night. Julie, take care.
Great tattoos.
Thank you. I was going to say, I like the style, my friend. You look comfortable.
Listen, that's exactly the word, comfortable.
You know? Bye.
Good night. And these wonderful stairs because the elevators aren't working, so, but it's a gorgeous stairwell. It's one of the signatures of the space here at the Art Gallery of Ontario, otherwise known as the AGO.
And if you turn back and say, I don't know what she's talking about. They will, yes, I know how Lebanon is. That's the thing. Like, I'm ready to go.
Spirals, sort of take on a spiral staircase. If you go all the way down to the ground. Oh no, it only goes to the second floor.
and how it, like, in a way allows single piece is someone
You recognizable.
Yeah, it's almost like the opposite of the where it is very abstractive. It's very like yes. When you said that, I said
Right. And then we split that way. Some go that way. And some go this way. I'm gonna go this way. This is the group I feel I'm with. And there's a stairwell we just came off of. Gorgeous, isn't it? It's its own art piece.
All right, you too. Bye. Bye, Doug. I'll see you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, look at gorgeousness. I just walked and I said, look at gorgeousness.
oh, thank you.
What's your name?
Natavia.
Where is that from? What's the heritage of Natavia?
I'm Jamaican.
You're Yardi?
Yeah.
I was waiting for you to say Nigerian or something.
No,
or Ghanaian.
no, I'm very much
Because, we're all very, but you're a Yardi.
Yes.
I'm a
that's
Yardi
me.
too.
Oh.
So see?
Yes, I see it.
I represent.
I love it.
Anyway, lovely.
Thank you
Great
so
color.
much. Thank you.
Beautiful. Who am I? Where's my people? They left me coming on me and going, I love this kind of stuff.
Just something to think about.
I'm looking for you because I'm following you. Where are you going?
Okay.
I love volume. So, what am I going to ask you?
Talk to me about volume.
I'm not Andre Leontali. It's more about noticing the clothing, attire, and what it means for you to present yourself in the world in the various attire that I keep seeing. I don't want to say fashion, because that seems to trivialize it, but because every time you show up, it's always, it's saying something, it's telling a story, it almost seems like always.
Yeah, for me, this goes back to childhood. I grew up in a house with a mother in a house where there was 2 sewing machines.
Oh, wow. Did you sew?
No, I never inherited that talent.
The clothing and fashion and styling.
Also growing up in that house, like you knew how to hem things, you knew how to hand stitch, but yeah.
Mend, darn, those
Exactly.
things, right? Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
But yeah, like the story of my life is there's always been clothing involved. The other part of that story is that I grew up in church. I grew up with church women, with Jamaican church women.
No, we're not. No, we're not. We're having a conversation.
Yeah,
We're having a
just friends.
conversation.
Yeah.
A camp today.
Well, it's like being asked, when are you going to do white people? When are you going to make white people?
The randomness. Oh, you're dressed so good. I love this.
Oh, look at this. Okay, come together, brothers. See? We were just talking about clothing, actually.
What'd you do? Now I want to know.
Look here. Beautiful. Here, Courtney.
I'm so sorry. Can you just take a picture of us,
Using his phone.
Okay.
Yeah.
please? I appreciate it. Thank you.
No, you're not taking any picture. No.
Why is he like all of a sudden in us?
Please find some other people. Please find some other people to take pictures of.
Documenting.
Fuck you.
Thank you so much. Well, appreciate it.
He's an artist as well. You met him, right? From Calgary. He just did a show here in a warehouse. What's his name? Knew him. He was with Andre. What's his name again? With Andre Rose.
Oh, Neil?
Neil, yeah,
Neil.
Neil Newton. Neil introduced him to me when I first came
Yeah.
up. Okay, no, you're fine. He finds them. He's just like, he's just ends up with all the black people.
I'm like, in Douglas.
Come on. Oh, sorry. They're trying to get a photo here.
Oh, sorry. So we're going to
One Spadina? 160 Baldwin. Oh, up there. Oh, he's very good.
to meet you, Courtney.
Jola. And you too, sir. Have a good evening.
You too. Oh, look at the back. I didn't see the back. So how would you say you have evolved over time with clothing? Because you said church, being in church was significant. Church women, Jamaican church women. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but everything I know about style is from church. Everything.
And what would you say are those elements?
No, I mean, and it's multiple things, right? It's like, because for me, like church style is all about accessories. It's the hat, it's the brooches, it's the gloves occasionally,
Right. The hats.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's all part of.
Yeah.
It's all part of my own story. It's all part of the story of my own relationship with style.
Right. And also silhouette and pattern and print.
Yes.
Which is something I've noticed that you do quite a bit of lately,
Yes.
is print.
Yes.
Right?
Oh yeah.
Because before I would think of you as tailored a little bit.
Yeah.
Not extreme, but
Yeah.
things are, in terms of say, silhouette and shape.
Mm-hmm.
But then lately I've noticed that you're doing a lot more print, a lot more texture, like not almost three-dimensional in terms of the things that you're putting on.
Yeah. I mean, definitely print.
Yeah.
As me and a monochromatic.
But no, but the important thing with this one is the volume.
Yeah.
I know it's volume. And even the up here is a little bit of skin.
Yes.
And then down here is...
I got these trousers tailored, and they feel summer, but I've been trying to figure out how to wear them. So.
Works. Very tailored.
Julie?
Yeah.
Oh, you're heading up to the...
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
How are you getting there?
You just walk. It's
Just a
walking.
Baldwin. Yeah. No, you don't have to. You don't have to. Yeah, you don't have
Well, I
to.
never walk.
Yeah, exactly. Don't walk.
It's been a long.
I mean, you're wearing... Oh, they're comfortable. I thought you were
Yeah,
wearing
they're pretty. I have running shoes, but I didn't wear my running shoes.
You're good.
I'm so glad.
Good. As soon as you walked to the stage, he said,
I'm an artist and photographer.
no, it's okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Please do.
Yeah, okay.
It might run your horizons.
As soon as you walked to the stage, he said, Gucci.
I think I did hear.
See you there.
You're going, right?
Yeah. All right, let's walk. Let's go. Come, let we go.
You're going to dinner?
Yeah.
160 Baldwin.
Later.
There's like guilds of bearing.
All right, so we're going to end this opus. 1 hour and 20 minutes.
Oh, Lord.
Mercy, mercy, mercy. Huh?
Can I win?
There, Courtney's winking for me.
That's the signature sign off. 내가 너무 싸가지고